Yeah, so Chase, now one game up for our predictions, and we're going to go through our week 4 predictions right now.
It's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be probably the most entertaining game of the week.
I just don't know what to say. You guys are both fucking losers this week.
I guess if you're looking at kissing your sister, sure, you're kissing somebody, but you're kissing your fucking sister.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the WNP podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mitchelson. Joining me today, Chase Crawshaw. Chase, how are you doing?
I am doing swell. That's how I start every podcast, so I had to start that way, but I am doing well above swell as the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup. We do a podcast covering Tampa Bay Lightning, the Bolts broadcast for the Hockey Podcast Network, if you don't already know. So, Mike, I know you and I are very happy. We were watching this team for the last year. We knew how talented they were. We thought that they were Cup favorites, but we never really fully, truly felt, believe, or expected them to lift the Stanley Cup this year. But yet here we are.
Exactly. And if you guys want to go listen to our immediate reactions, they will be up on the Bolts broadcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all that. You can just look up Bolts broadcast on any of those platforms. And I think the episode will be coming out on Thursday. So if you are listening to this before Thursday, then you got some listening to do in the next couple of days here. And if you're listening after, you can go there right now and check out our initial reaction. So yeah, Chase, it is absolutely wild. You and I are having a couple beers because, of course, that's the way to celebrate. I know you said in our Bulls broadcast initial reaction, you were drinking some Blue Light. I got some Corona on me. We're going to have a fun night. And, one thing that's not fun is we fucking tied again in our fucking predictions.
I know, what the fuck?
I don't, if we were picking all the same shit, obviously that would make sense, but I think we had 8 different fucking matchups. 8 different
We
fucking.
had at least 6. It was an even number, it was 6 or 8.
Yeah, so, I just don't get it. But anyways, this episode, guys, just to let you know, we're going to be looking back at week 3, doing predictions for week 4. I'm not sure how long it's going to be. I can promise you it won't be as long as last episode because that one went an hour and a half, and we don't want that to happen again, especially because I'm sure we're going to start messing up our words pretty quickly while we're drinking these beers here. So, Chase, let's just hop right into some week 3 recap. Game 1 on Thursday night, we saw the Dolphins versus the Jags. This game was interesting. I think you and I both picked the Jags for this one. However, I thought it was going to be a very close game. It ended up not being a very close game because the Dolphins kind of ran away with it. Fitzmagic was just electric.
Yeah, I mean, he was only 18 for 20 for 160 and 2 touchdowns, but he was fun to watch. He ran the ball a couple times and ran it pretty well. Ended up getting a touchdown, actually. Averaged 5.5 yards per carry, just about. So, yeah, he was pretty good. Myles Gaskin, this dude ran the ball 22 damn times. Why is Myles Gaskin running the ball when you traded for Matt Breida and signed Jordan Howard? I mean, sure, Myles Gaskin has done a solid job, but 22 times for 66 yards at the 3 average, that's it's not good. It's not good at all. He broke off a couple runs early, then was just getting stuffed later on in the game. They were using him on the goal line sometimes. When you have Jordan Howard, who is just a truck of a man, I don't know why you wouldn't use him in a goal line situation. So it was weird play calling, but it really didn't matter because it was a game that got away from the Jags. Cam Robinson got kicked out of this game, so Gardner Minshew's missing his left tackle, arguably the most important piece of his offensive line. He really had no chance to throw the ball. Guys were getting in his face all game long. Yeah, he made some questionable decisions as well. He definitely should have looked much better. I thought he was going to look better than he did. But yeah, 31-13 was for the Dolphins was not what I was expecting for sure.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew struggled a little bit in this one, and I think we are really starting to see the NFL kind of come to their own. Obviously, no preseason games, a shortened training camp, kind of tough to really get a true gauge on these teams within the first couple of weeks. I think people thought that the Dolphins would look better than they started, and of course they did versus the Bills and the Patriots, which is a tough ask, but I think this Dolphins team is going to be pretty competitive. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, but I think they could be a 5 to 7 win team and be a very competitive team. So we saw that out of them this week against the Jaguars, and we'll see what they can do continuing on. Hopefully we get to see Tua sometime soon because even though I love Fitzmagic, it's time to get the rookie in. I'm excited.
Yeah, I want to see Tua play. Obviously, I'm someone who's lower on Tua. I still think like he could get it done at the NFL level. I just have like concerns. So I really look forward to seeing him get in there and then get his chance because I would love to be proven wrong. And especially in a moment like that, like I don't want to be proven wrong, hyping a guy up, then he fails because that's just like disappointing for everybody. I'd much rather be wrong about a guy or talking him down and then him exceeding my expectations. So I look forward to watching Tua. And one more guy I want to mention from this game, James Robinson. He like obviously I know I've talked about him in the last episode, but undrafted guy, played FCS, but he looks really good. He's clearly the number one like offensive option for this Jags team. He had 11 attempts for 46 yards, 2 touchdowns, while also leading the team in receptions and receiving yards, which if anyone would have guessed that coming into the season, week 3 or at any point, nobody would have guessed that. But he's looked great. For an undrafted running back, we kind of saw this with Phillip Lindsay a couple years ago. Different types of players, but a similar type of story. So it's pretty cool to see. I hope he can continue to have success.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be sweet if they bring in a new quarterback this year and James Robinson is going to continue to be the guy because he has looked pretty phenomenal. Chase, let's now take a look at the Sunday games. We'll start off with the 1 o'clock time frame. I'll run through a couple games quickly that really weren't very interesting or we kind of expected the results. So Steelers over the Texans 28-21. This was a close game, but the Texans really don't have that much skill because Bill O'Brien gave it all away. The Steelers just obviously the better team. Then you got the 49ers versus the Giants. This was a blowout, 36-9. 49ers have a ton of injuries, but I think this just shows that the Giants definitely aren't where they should be at this moment in time. Then you take a look at the Browns and the Washington football team, a 34-20 victory as the ground game continues to be absolutely dynamite for the Cleveland Browns. And then also the Titans-Vikings. This game was pretty close. However, the Titans did come away with it because the Vikings, they just can't seem to find their feet as they start the year 0-3.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the Niners real quick. I just want to mention this quick little thing. This is literally the 49ers B squad, and they just pounce on the Giants because the Giants without Saquon Barkley are irrelevant. I like the team to be a sneaky offense with Saquon in the lineup, but with him out, it takes away, any versatility. So the 49ers absolutely shattered them there, but I want to move on to the Vikings-Titans like you were just talking about. I just don't get it. This Vikings team, I know their defense, there's some holes. It's a little suspect in some areas, but their offense should be good enough and their defense should be solid enough where this team should not be in the situation. They should not be an 0-3 team. They should not look like absolute shit while they're on the field. Kirk Cousins looks horrible. Justin Jefferson finally, he had a big game in week 3. That was good to see. Spent a first round pick on the guy. Wasn't getting much utilization in the first 2 weeks, but going forward, I'm sure that'll change. But yeah, this Vikings team, they need to figure something out. Dalvin Cook needs to get going a little more. Kirk Cousins obviously has to be better. And then this defense, they really need to plug up their holes.
Absolutely, and it's kind of hard to do that for the Vikings because of so much change in that defense. However, you got Mike Zimmer, one of the better defensive minds in the game. I think he's got to get it done quickly or else this season can continue to spiral out of control. Going to the Titans, Ryan Tannehill looked pretty solid, throwing for 321 yards. However, he did not put any touchdowns on the board, and he threw an interception. Then looking at Derrick Henry, this was a guy that I have been pretty critical of this season. He just hasn't looked great. His average was better than the last couple of weeks, and he finally found his way to the end zone. That obviously helped the Titans take this one and helped me take my fantasy victory, my first fantasy victory in our Dynasty League, in Johnny's Dynasty League. So finally, he gets something going. It took forever, but he finally did it.
Talking about fantasy football real quick, I was happy that Tampa won the cup tonight, so I could be super happy about something because it was a rough week for me on fantasy. Started the first 2 weeks, as I mentioned on the show, 5-0 in each league, so it was 10-0. went 2-3 this time around. In your league, your dynasty league, I don't know how the hell this is possible. Every single one of my starters underperformed their projected points. Every single position. We have 9 starters in that league, right? Yeah, the 9 starters, and every single one underperformed their projection. I don't know how that happens. That's some shitty luck right there. I didn't have Devontae Adams either, which hurts. But regardless, drop a game. Didn't expect to win them all. But yeah, as you mentioned, Derrick Henry finally found the end zone twice actually, and his average went up, sure, but he still didn't even really wow me. Like he usually, he'll have a run or two that like kind of wow you, impress you, where he's trucking guys over, getting quite a few yards. But I don't know, he just looked like he was just kind of doing enough to get it done. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Chase, I want to now move on to the Raiders-Patriots game. There's 3 other games we haven't yet mentioned in the 1 o'clock time frame, and this is because these were all just absolutely brutal games where they had at least one brutal component, and so I want to mention those last. So we'll first talk about the Patriots and the Raiders. This game looked close at first. The Patriots, though, ran away with it, and that's in the literal sense because their run game was absolutely phenomenal. Rex Burkhead, great. Sony Michel finally showed that maybe he has that talent to be a number 1 back in this league, because both of those guys were just absolutely phenomenal, on top of Cam Newton just being great like always.
Dude, Rex Burkhead had 2 freaking rushing touchdowns as well as 49 yards on 6 attempts. Like, what the hell is going on in this game? Like, when you look at the Raiders, like, Derek Carr, he had a nice game, and especially when you look at the stats, 24 for 32, 261, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and watch him, like, he was throwing the ball, moving around well, but the Patriots, they were just getting it done more. As you mentioned, Sony finally had a good game. He broke off a couple big runs to help, pad those numbers and that average, but the weird thing was, the number 1 like back in terms of touches in this game was J.J. Taylor, 5'5" undrafted running back out of Arizona State, one of the two, can't remember right now. So I don't know, that's weird to me. Even with Sony Michel breaking off those big runs, with Rex Burkhead getting 2 touchdowns, you go to J.J. Taylor, who you only promoted because Damian Harris is on the IR, and you promoted him from the practice squad, and he was pretty much a special teams guy, but he gets this work. I don't know, it's peak Patriots, but it always just seems to work for them. I don't get it. It's just so annoying.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me because J.J. Taylor, 11 carries, 43 yards, a 3.9 average. Not terrible, but you had 2 running backs that were doing it at a much better pace. He also had a drop in his only target in the game. So I don't really understand why he was utilized that much when you had 2 other guys just absolutely killing the Raiders. Back to the Raiders. They got to get the run game going. If they can't get Josh Jacobs going, then I don't think this team really has a chance in winning games. Derek Carr, very consistent, very good ball protector. He is very good at managing the game. However, he is not your Patrick Mahomes type that'll put up 4 or 5 touchdowns and win you the game just because of him. So that's one problem the Raiders had against this New England defense. They could not get that run game going, and that hurt my heart because I got Josh Jacobs in fantasy, and because he did poorly, I did poorly. But Chase, let's now move on. Let's talk about the Bills-Rams first. I think this is the lesser of the 3 evils. This game, very close. The Bills had a 28-3 lead. They blew that lead, went down 32-28. However, on a 4th and 9 pass for the Bills to either take the game or to lose the game, there was an invisible pass interference called against the Rams. I think all of us were watching together. We had, 5 of us, 6 of us there. We were all wondering where the pass interference was.
Oh, 100%. It was a rough call. You got to feel for the Rams in that situation. They played their hearts out. They really worked their asses off to come back in that game. Darrell Henderson had a hell of a game. It's 2 weeks in a row. He's kind of looking like, he might be the dude for them. So it's good for the Rams to figure out. But yeah, Jared Goff, he had a pretty solid game. He threw for 321 yards, had 2 touchdowns and a pick. He looked better than Jared Goff has looked in the last couple seasons. If he can continue that type of play, he was a guy I really liked coming off of his sophomore season. I really thought he had the tools to develop into an elite quarterback. Hasn't really done it. Can he do it at this point? I don't know, probably not. But I do really want to talk about my boy Josh Allen. Man, he finally goes against a better defense, and he still looked like pretty damn good. 24 for 33, 311 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. So his career high coming into the season for passing yards, if I'm not mistaken, was like 260 something. And every single week he's gotten above 300 yards and got above 400 once. He's looked awesome with as well with his defense. They've been playing pretty good. Jordan Poyer, he had a bunch of tackles. He's a pretty elite safety in the league. But like if that defense continues playing well and Josh Allen's playing at this level, this is gonna be a hard team to beat.
It is if the fourth quarter just gets rid of, like they get rid of the fourth quarter. Just because, I talked about it last week how the Bills just seem to collapse. However, they still take the victories. Same happened here. It seemed like this is on Sean McDermott. I don't think it's on Josh Allen. He performed great, but in the fourth quarter, I don't know what happened. Like Josh Allen wasn't throwing the ball. He was getting sacked nonstop. He lost a fumble. Like, what did they do? Did they change something, or did the Rams just change the course at halftime or something, and it worked out better? I don't know. It just seems like the team as a whole, including the offense, kind of just loses its touch in the second half, and that's something they're going to need to figure out, because when they start to verse elite teams, that's not going to fly. So this Buffalo team, you and I... No, you had the Patriots actually winning the division, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had the Patriots. I think that had them 11-5 and the Bills 10-6 or something like that, or maybe they had the same records. I don't know, but I gave the edge to the Patriots.
Yeah, so I mean, you had a lot of hope in the Bills this year. I had them taking the division. So I think they need to figure that out if they really want to be an elite team and contend for a Super Bowl. Right now, they looked great. Don't think they're a Super Bowl contender yet, but they do look great. Chase, let's now move on. Okay, go ahead.
Really quick before you move on though, I do want to mention because I don't remember if I even said anything. I thought about saying something, but I didn't. Like you mentioned how it's a Sean McDermott thing, and I got to agree 100% because when you look at the scoring, the Rams had 3 points going into the half, and then they put up 29 going forward, whereas the Bills consistently scored going like through the game, and of course their fourth quarter touchdown was a game winning touchdown, but. Like teams need to realize, not just Sean McDermott, but all teams need to realize the Lions need to do this. They learned this last year against the Cardinals. Don't change a game plan when it's working. When you change a game plan, if it's working, you're gonna struggle. And teams they'll tend to take a lead and they'll start playing more conservatively. And we're gonna be talking about a team who that really bit them in the ass yet again. So coaches they just really need to start realizing that playing safe, playing protective, it doesn't work. Safe is death.
Yeah, let's talk about them right now because honestly, fuck the Falcons. I legit said last week I'm never going to take the Falcons in our predictions again because of what they did against the Dallas Cowboys. But I'm like, it's the Bears. The Bears fucking suck. I'm taking the Falcons anyways. Let's do it. They're up 26-10. It's looking great. And they collapse yet again. Just an absolute monstrosity of a team in that second half. Dan Quinn needs to be gone immediately. Adam Gase, it already sounds like he's out, but Dan Quinn's got to be the next guy. We talked about him on the hot seat last week. I think after this game, it's time for him to go.
Yeah, I can't really disagree. It's pretty showing that he's running a shit show. They gave up 20 points in the fucking fourth quarter, dude. Like, the Bears had a freaking sit Mitch Trubisky, put in Nick Foles, who's not much of an upgrade, and stat line doesn't show much of an upgrade either, being under 60%, under 200 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. The 3 touchdowns were nice, but that's because they were in desperation mode, so that kind of helped them out. But I don't get how you do this 2 weeks in a row. I can't comprehend that a team can be coached that way. I can't comprehend that players can play that way. This Falcons offense, they scored 20, they got 26 points this week. They really weren't that special. They were missing, of course, Julio Jones, and then Russell Gage went out in that game. So their receiving options were cut in half, really. So I get where they have a little bit of struggles, but Matt Ryan did not look good. He threw exactly 50% with a touchdown and a pick. And then the defense just always looks so shitty. Just the second half in the fourth quarter, this defense, it's like playing a bunch of fucking kindergartners.
Absolutely, and I'm sure that Bears fans are going to want us to talk about how, oh my gosh, they finally found their quarterback in Nick Foles. Sorry to tell you, Bears fans, but it wasn't Nick Foles that turned that game around. It was Dan Quinn shooting himself in the foot yet again. These Falcons suck. I'm not picking them again. I know I already did my predictions. I did not pick them in this upcoming week. They're going to blow it again. I can just feel it. But let's now move on to the last 1 o'clock game that we haven't mentioned yet. That consists of the Philadelphia Eagles and my Cincinnati Bengals. The only thing I really want to say is Zach Taylor and Doug Peterson should be fucking fired. Are you kidding me? It is fucking overtime. And you're going to, instead of trying to take a 59-yard field goal, you're going to fucking punt. I don't understand. There is absolutely no fucking cojones in that man's sack. That was just absolutely ridiculous. Then you look at Zach Taylor, they get the ball with, I don't know, 17 seconds or something. Yeah, that's not enough to go 90 yards to score a touchdown. That doesn't mean you run the ball and burn the clock. Try to make a fucking play. My goodness, this was just terribly coached. 23-23 tie. A tie isn't a win. A tie is a fucking loss. The fact that they were too afraid to go for it, maybe the Eagles or maybe the Bengals would have turned that around into a victory if they tried to get a win. That's just stupid. That is terrible thinking, terrible coaching. I just don't know what to say. You guys are both fucking losers this week.
Mike, have you ever kissed your sister?
Why would I kiss my sister?
All right, so you can't speak on that old adage, a tie is like kissing your sister. I kind of figured, we're not living in the South, but you got to make sure. That old adage, tying is like kissing your sister. Whoever the hell came up with that, you're fucking disgusting. Like, why the hell would you say that? Who the hell kisses their sister? But at the same time, like, yeah, a tie is kind of the worst. Like, I guess if you're looking at kissing your sister, sure, you're kissing somebody, but you're kissing your fucking sister. So looking at a tie, you didn't lose, but you didn't fucking win either. And it's so stupid. Let them play continuous overtimes. Shit, at that point, I don't know. It's put on a fucking skills competition. The NHL goes to a shootout and do like longest kicks or accurate throws or some shit. I don't know. Don't let it be a 23-23 game. It's so stupid. It's so boring. No one wants to see a fucking tie. The players don't want to tie. The fans don't want to tie. It's so dumb.
It was absolutely disgusting. And I know, I think it was Joe Burrow or Tyler Boyd talked last week coming into this week that we're going to see how we can rebound. And if we don't, there's definitely going to be some changes. Well, now's the time. There's got to be changes. Zach Taylor, your job is starting to look like it's on the line. Don't let your coordinators get your ass fired. Fire someone. You got to change something because it's not working. Joe Burrow was sacked 8 times. 8 fucking times for the first overall pick, the franchise. You just let him get absolutely pummeled. It's disgusting. Change something now or else you'll be out by next season. All right, Chase, let's now move on to the 4 o'clock games. I want to run through a couple really quickly that I don't really think matter that much. Colts absolutely steamrolled the Jets. Adam Gase has to go. We talked about it last week. Sam Darnold just does not look good under Adam Gase, and neither does the rest of the team. Buccaneers over the Broncos. Kind of expected just because the Broncos are dealing with so many injuries. I think this game would have been awesome if we could have saw Drew Lock, Von Miller, Cortland Sutton. Obviously, all of those guys out. So kind of expected and really tough for the Broncos. My cousin, he's a big Broncos fan. I really feel for him right now because this really did seem like the year. Maybe the Broncos could put something together, make it back to the playoffs, and injuries have just fucked them. And then Panthers versus the Chargers. I expected a little bit more out of Herbert in this one, but I love Matt Rule, and I love that they took the victory here. Congrats, Matt Rule. Your first NFL win. That's a huge accomplishment. So congratulations on that. And Chase, is there anything you want to talk about with either of these 3 games?
Yeah, I'll talk about the Panthers. Just because it's cool to see Matt Rule get his first win. Anytime a coach gets their first win, tip your hat to him. It's not easy to do in the NFL. This Panthers team, they're a team that I expect to do pretty poorly. But at the same time, this Chargers team, they're they're a roster that looks like they're going to have a rough season just because of injuries and shit just not going their way. It seems like a season from hell when your starting quarterback gets his lung punctured by your own doctor. So, you got to feel for Chargers and the Chargers fans. But still, yeah, it was great to see the Panthers get their first win and see Matt Rule get his first win as a head coach.
Absolutely. I love Matt Rule, and I hope to see many, many more wins come under his belt. Maybe a Super Bowl. Who knows? Panthers versus Bengals. I like the sound of that. All right, Chase. Let's now move on. We'll talk about the Seahawks Cowboys first, and then we'll talk about your Lions after that. So Seahawks Cowboys, a good game, 38-31. The Seahawks take this one. The Cowboys, even though they dropped to 1-2, they yet again look competitive. They look much better over these last 2 weeks than they did that first week. I think the Cowboys are pretty much a shoo-in now to take the NFC East, which really isn't saying much because the rest of the teams are 0-3. Oh, no, excuse me. The Washington football team does have a win. But,
fix yourself, Mike.
But the rest of the teams in that division are absolute garbage. Cowboys, if you can figure out that defense a little bit, you may have a shot. But it really feels like a division win and a first-round exit to me.
Yeah, they are looking solid. They're looking like they can, like easily win this division. Dak Prescott's throwing the ball a lot still. He's still an average quarterback. Throwing the ball 57 times, only getting 3 touchdowns is pretty underwhelming. But, I mean, really the story of this day is Cedric Wilson. 5 receptions, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pretty sure he had like 49 receiving yards in his career coming into this game. And he's just like, yeah, I'm the 6'5" monster. I'm going to go ahead and just dominate when you also have Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb. Nah, screw those guys. I'm the show. You got Zeke Elliott? No, we don't need him. It's all me. So Cedric Wilson, he looked pretty solid. I know he kept getting open, and it was like giving the ball in pretty easy to gain yardage situations, but I don't know. Are they going to use him more going forward just because of the stat line? There is a chance. Seems like they're going to be a pretty pass-heavy team going forward the rest of the year. We've seen them throw the ball a lot. They have great receiving options, so you might as well. But if Cedric Wilson really takes away the fantasy value of those other 3 receivers and that running back, that's going to be so cheeks.
I agree. And if we look on the other side, the Seahawks, let Russ cook. It's been said all offseason and through the first couple of weeks, and he really did that. He put up 315 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 of them going to Tyler Lockett, 1 going to DK, and 1 going to Jacob Hollister. A really nice game by them, and I just want to say sorry or just send my condolences to Chris Carson because he really looked good this season, and he struggled with some injuries, and then an absolute fucking moron on the Cowboys takes his ankle and does a barrel roll with it. He gets an ankle sprain. He'll be out. I think the diagnosis is only 1 to 2 weeks, so I'm excited for him to come back. But what a dirty-ass play. Just because of that, the Cowboys deserve to lose, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, that was Tristan Hill, if I'm not mistaken. You should expect to get a fine, but yeah, Chris Carson will be okay. I read he might even play this week. Sounds like he'll be practicing limited and then maybe full-time by the end of the week, but he should be playing this week, or possibly could be playing this week. Will for sure be back the following week, so that's good to hear. And last, on the whole let Russ cook thing, Russell Wilson has now set the record for most touchdown passes through the first 3 weeks in NFL history. I don't remember what the previous record was, but he's at 13, if I'm not mistaken. But he has done the definition of cooking. He's been fantastic, and there's nobody else, even with a guy like Josh Allen playing well so far this year. Nobody else even comes close to sniffing Russell Wilson as MVP right now.
I agree with that as well. All right, Chase, let's move on to your Detroit Lions as they pick up their first victory over the Arizona Cardinals, something you and I didn't really see coming. However, Kyler Murray looked pretty rough in this game, turning the ball over 3 times, and that Lions offense looked pretty good again as Matthew Stafford, 270 for 2 touchdowns. Adrian Peterson led the run game with 75 yards, and Kenny Golladay, he comes back, first game of the year, 57 yards and a touchdown. My fantasy team loves to see that.
Yeah, dude, I'm so pumped. The Lions finally get their first win of the year. I discounted them so heavily coming into this game. The Cardinals have looked so good thus far. The Lions have looked so trash thus far. Blowing leads, just looking like garbage. But they finally get a win. I'm definitely a happy fella. sucks having Kyler in my fantasy lineup. He did a whole lot of nothing for me, just kind of let down. Had to lose to Graham, which is absolute yuck. I'm pretty disappointed by that. But I'm happy that the Lions ended up getting a win. Still not a team I expect to do much. I don't expect them to be a playoff team. I'm hoping they can get some wins. But at this point, I still, I'm on that Matt Patricia fire train. Whether that's during the season or end of the season, I don't know. But I don't know. We just got to be on the watch for these Lions.
Yeah, for sure. Chase, overall, what are your thoughts on the Lions going forward? Obviously, they take this one against a very good Cardinals team. Obviously, those 3 interceptions have to play a part in that. But what are your expectations going forward? You got the Saints next week, which even though they're not a great offense, Drew Brees doesn't look like the old Drew Brees. They're still a very good, well-rounded team. I think some people may even say that they're a better, more well-rounded team than the Cardinals. So what are your just overall thoughts on the Lions? Do you expect them, now that they get this win, to go back to those 8 or 9 wins you had them prior? Or do you expect them to be a little bit lower still?
Seeing the way they played, I think they can be a team that gets quite a few wins. I do think they have a chance to beat the Saints because the Saints have not looked like the Saints of previous years. They look, like they really need to rely on their defense playing at their max level and Alvin Kamara kind of taking over. And if their defense even struggles or Alvin Kamara just kind of does average, then they're going to get shit on because Drew Brees can't really do it anymore. It's pretty obvious. He had a 50-plus yard touchdown pass, but he threw it maybe half of a yard to Kamara, who did all the work and took it all the way down. So, it shows up as that deep of a pass for him, but that's just not the truth. So I think this Lions team, they could beat the Saints. It's in the realm of possibility. I'm not saying for sure it's going to happen. I got to do a little more thinking on it, a little more reading on it, come to my decision. Probably, we're going to make a decision here on the podcast, of course, but it's just going to be a kind of spot decision. Going into the week, I'm going to do a little more reading, look at some more of the underlying numbers, but I am feeling a little better about the Lions. Still got to temper expectations, though. It's still the Detroit Lions.
All right, sounds good. Let's now move on to our Sunday night game. This was between the Packers and the Saints. I think the Saints played a pretty good overall game. In last week's episode, I called out Alvin Kamara. I thought he could have been a little bit better just because Drew Brees, obviously we talked about it, he's shown some regression. I think if they want to be a top-tier team, Alvin Kamara needed to play just a little bit better. He did exactly that this week. 139 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, and another 58 yards on the ground. He played absolutely spectacular. But the Saints could not take down the 2 Aarons. Aaron Rodgers played absolutely great again. It really looks like he could be back in MVP type form. Obviously, Russ Wilson is still the number 1 guy, but Aaron Rodgers looking really good. Aaron Jones, he had a pretty nice game. And we did see the coming out party for a couple younger receivers that the Green Bay Packers have been hoping could have their breakouts.
Yeah, so I'm a little triggered, I'm going to be honest, because, I have Devontae Adams in your league, and he was out. So it's like, all right, I got to go to MVS. He's kind of the guy who, he doesn't take the Devontae Adams role because nobody takes that role. But in terms of where he lines up in the field, that's who replaces him. And Marquez Valdes-Scantling had a catch for 5 yards, while Allen Lazard absolutely shat on the Saints. 6 receptions, 146, and a touchdown. Robert Tonyan, he looked solid, had 5 receptions, 50 yards, and a touchdown. Mercedes Lewis had a touchdown. Anything to get the ball to any tight end but Jay Sternberger, apparently. Even though he had 3 receptions for 36 yards, he still seems to be the hated stepchild in that room for whatever reason. I don't know, but Aaron Rodgers absolutely loves Allen Lazard. He talks this guy up all the time. He talks about, he has a chip on his shoulder because of this, because of that, blah, blah, blah. Allen Lazard, just because Aaron Rodgers loves him so much and targets him so much, might become a legit NFL threat, NFL weapon, one of the better receivers in the league, at least in terms of volume and stats. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that our friend group is a majority of Lions fans, and so there's a lot of hatred going towards Green Bay. You and I are a little less biased there. We know that Green Bay is still a pretty solid team. Aaron Rodgers still a top 10 quarterback. However, I don't think we saw them being this good. They really look like a true contender right now. Aaron Rodgers playing at an MVP level. If they continue this, they could be making an NFC Championship appearance yet again. That's how good they're looking.
I fucking hope not, dude.
All right, Chase, let's now move on to the final game. This was tonight between the Chiefs and the Ravens. Obviously, Chase and I were pulling double duty watching this game, as well as the Stanley Cup Finals between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Dallas Stars. But we did get to see quite a bit of this game. Ended 34-20. Ravens really could not get their offense going. They were really struggling. The run game looked good at times, but when you go down and you got to pass the ball, they really couldn't do that in this game. They also had a lot of problems with penalties. And if you're going to be a penalized team, it's going to be tough to just control the clock and run the ball if you're 1st and 20 or 2nd and 15 every fucking down. So a nice game by the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes looked absolutely phenomenal. The Chiefs had a really nice rebound game off of a kind of a stinker last week against the LA Chargers in overtime.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes things. 31-42, 385 and 4. That's a ridiculous stat line. It was interesting seeing Clyde Edwards-Helaire got 20 touches, while also getting 5 catches for 70 yards. He ended up having 134 total yards from scrimmage. Didn't find the end zone, but this kid is. We knew how heavily he's gonna be used. He being a first round pick running back, but you can tell Patrick Mahomes, he was clamoring for the Chiefs to take him, and he absolutely loves this kid. They're going to be electric going forward for at least the next few years. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch. But moving over to the Ravens real quick, Lamar, dude, he could not get it figured out. 97 total passing yards, only 1 touchdown. That passing game was just struggling. I was watching Tampa more heavily, so I didn't see everything. But whenever I looked over to the game, it seemed like the Ravens had the ball. It was Lamar either running it, or it was him overthrowing receivers, or it was, I remember early in the game, Marquise Brown had a ball thrown right in between his hands, and he just didn't catch it somehow. I don't know how you don't catch that. So everything just kind of went wrong in the passing game for the Ravens. I expect them to rebound. They're a really good team. They're obviously Super Bowl contenders, Super Bowl favorites, so they shouldn't be too concerned going forward.
Absolutely. Chase, you mentioned some drops. Marquise Brown had the one, and then Mark Andrews had one of the more poor drops, wide open in the end zone, or at least he beat his man in the end zone. He goes for a diving catch because it was a little overthrown, and it's a catch he makes 9 out of the 10 times, and this was that one time that he dropped it. So a touchdown could have been had for the Baltimore Ravens, but like you said, nothing was really going right for the Ravens when it came to the passing game. So that's it for our week 3 recap. Chase, we will now recap our results and our predictions. So like I said, we tied again. We both went 10-6. The difference is I had Pittsburgh and oh, what the frick? I don't know why I put Philly as the winner. Anyways, so both you and I lost that one. So Chase would have actually taken this week. He went 10-6. I went 9-5 because I got the Philly one wrong as well. So our difference is
not 9-7.
9-7. Yeah. So our difference is I had Pittsburgh over Houston. That was correct. The LA Rams and the Atlanta Falcons, I took them, where Chase took Buffalo and Chicago. He prevailed there. I took Tampa Bay over Denver. I prevailed there. And then he took Kansas City over Baltimore. So Chase takes a 1-game lead because Philly and Cincy are fucking losers and like to tie. And yeah, so Chase now 1 game up for our predictions. And we're going to go through our week 4 predictions right now.
So
all
pumped.
Right, Chase.
Especially for this Thursday game. I'm so pumped. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, this Thursday game looks absolutely electric. No reason anyone should be not tuning into this one because you have the Denver Broncos at the New York Jets. Absolutely
Woohoo!
Electric. Who you got?
Pass.
No, that's a good answer, but you know what? I'll give you a pass, and then if pass doesn't win, then you get it wrong. So I'll write down pass here.
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the Jets, I guess. I might as well just go with the home team in this game. The Broncos, I picked them last week just because they were at home. I knew they were going to struggle, but I thought maybe just because they're at home, the altitude's such a big difference. Maybe they'll have a slight chance, but they're going to have no chance going to the field that's killing all these players. The Jets are a snooze fest. The Broncos are a snooze fest. This game might be a nice 7-3 in favor of the Jets.
Yeah, I'm not very excited for it. However, of course we're going to watch because it's NFL football. I mean, it's the best it can get.
And now hockey's all done too, so I'll be watching every second of NFL football, regardless, no matter what, with all my attention.
Yeah, exactly. My Celtics are out of the NBA playoffs, so who cares about that anymore? Honestly, go Heat because the Lakers suck. But yeah, let's move on to the next game, Chase. Baltimore versus Washington. Does Baltimore get their rebound here against the Washington football team, or does that defensive line look too good?
No, the Ravens are going to win this game. They're too much for this Washington team. Dwayne Haskins looks fucking terrible. I was not a big Dwayne Haskins guy. Had a feeling things, if they went south, there would be a lot on him. So he looks terrible. Who knows if Chase Young's even going to play? He was out last game. I haven't heard any updates since then. So especially if he doesn't play, that changes things up because even as a rookie, he is a really dynamic player. This football team is going to be a very ugly team to watch going forward the rest of the season. I expect this to be a pretty big Ravens win.
Yeah, I agree. I took Baltimore as well. I don't think I gave my winner for the first game. I took Denver in that one. So we now move on to Pittsburgh at Tennessee. Your thoughts on who takes this one?
So this one, it could be slightly interesting. It might be a little more defensive, a little slower pace, but it could still be some interesting plays. I'm going to go with the Titans in this. I think Derrick Henry will be the running back that breaks that top 14. So the Steelers have a lot of top 14 running back in terms of fantasy in the last 19 games, I think it is now. I think Derrick Henry's the guy who's going to change that. I think he'll be an RB1 in fantasy this week. The Steelers are going to struggle because of it. They're not going to get much done offensively, I don't think. I think they're going to do okay, but not enough to overcome this Titans team. And yeah, Titans win.
For fantasy sakes, I sure hope you are correct. I did take the Titans as well in this one. I think Ryan Tannehill has looked pretty good. And honestly, the Steelers, although they're 3-0, they've kind of been sneaking or squeaking out victories because I haven't been super impressed by them. But moving on, let's look at the LA Chargers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got the 42-year-old legend, or maybe he's 43 now, I don't know, Tom Brady versus the Rook, I think. Or maybe Tyrod's back. We don't know his punctured lung situation right now, so it'll either be the rookie versus the GOAT, great storyline, or Tyrod versus the GOAT, a little bit less appealing.
Either way, they're not going to have a chance in this game. It's going to be the Bucs. Bucs by a pretty good margin. This Chargers team does not look good. When you look at Tyrod as going in at QB, he's not good for any of his receivers because he's just a guy who manages the game, doesn't even do it at a high level. Whereas Herbert, he's a little more dynamic. He can get more done, but he is a guy who, coming out of college, his inconsistency was pretty known. He can be a little wild on his throws, and he's got to figure that out. So, especially at the NFL level, he's got to figure it out more. You saw that in the last game. So, regardless who starts, I feel like they're both going to struggle, and the Bucs are going to take this one handily.
Yeah, I took Tampa Bay in this one as well. Next, Seattle versus Miami. I already marked you down for Seattle.
I want to take Miami. No.
Okay.
God, no.
Okay, I'm changing it. No, I'm changing it.
Seattle's going to win this by a lot.
Yeah. All right, that's simple enough. Minnesota versus Houston next. Both teams starting off 0-3. Houston has had a really tough schedule. Minnesota not as tough, but it just seems like they couldn't really get their feet under them. Which team is going to get their first victory this week?
I was about to say the Texans, but then I thought about it. It's going to be the Vikings because the Texans have Bill O'Brien as their head coach, and that guy is a joke, and he's the worst. Dalvin Cook is going to have a hell of a game running the ball. Kirk Cousins is going to bounce back, not have like a monster game, but he's going to bounce back for Kirk Cousins. He'll be a solid enough guy to help his team win. The defense is going to play with a little more pride, and this Texans team is going to continue to struggle, which disappoints me because I'm a huge D. Watts guy, and I really want to see him succeed.
Yeah, this one was tough for me. I think it's pretty close. I originally thought Minnesota, but I eventually landed on Houston. I think Deshaun Watson's the better quarterback. I know more goes into it than just the quarterback, but when a game's close, I'm just going to go with the quarterback. So that's why I take Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans here. Next up, Chase, the New Orleans Saints versus the Detroit Lions. Your thoughts on who's taking this one?
I'm gonna go with the Saints. I think it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be an entertaining game. Maybe the most entertaining game the Lions have played so far. Like I enjoyed very much against the Cardinals, seeing the defense play as well as they did, getting those interceptions. But I think this game should actually be not like a shootout, but it'll be a higher scoring game. I think Kamara's gonna have a huge game for the Saints. Meanwhile, we're gonna see Matt Stafford really put the team on his back for the Lions and sling the ball. I think it'll be entertaining, but yeah, I just got to go Saints in this one.
Yep, agree with you on that one. Uh, I don't know. Even though the Lions won, I still don't have a ton of faith in them yet. Which I mean, coming from a Lions fan, that's got to be understandable.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, next up, Cleveland versus Dallas. Two pretty good offenses. One goes through the ground, the other seems to be going through the air more recently. But who are you taking in this one?
I think I'm gonna go with the Cowboys in this one. It's very close. It's usually you want to go like how you mentioned, like for the Texans Vikings, you're gonna go with the quarterback when it's that close. If you go with the quarterback in this game, I think they're both pretty icky. But Dak is maybe slightly better than Baker, even though I think he's a bottom half QB regardless. But the Cowboys, they should have a little more weapons on offense while still having a nice defense. It should be an entertaining game. I think we're going to see a lot of great fantasy producers in this game. But yeah, give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, I like this game. I'm going to be very interested to see how it plays out. I went Cleveland in this one. I think Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are just absolutely amazing. And I think that they're going to be able to do a lot of damage to this Dallas front seven. So we'll see what happens. Another difference, and that's good because we like differences here. Next up,
we need that.
Cincinnati versus Jacksonville. This is in Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati. Who you taking?
Mike, I'm officially out on your Bengals. They suck. They're trash. Zach Taylor's the worst. I'm going with the Jags. I really want to, I'm kind of hoping this reverse psychology because I do want the Bengals to win because I like Joe Burrow a lot, but my heart and gut just tells me the Jags. This team, they've not that like Gardner Minshew is some great elaborate superstar quarterback, but he's got a little more experience under his belt than compared to Burrow, who even though he is the clearly better quarterback, it makes a little bit of a difference. James Robinson keeps looking good. Hopefully, he can keep that going. If DJ Chark's in, that's going to open up things a little more for the Jags as well. I don't know what his status is going forward into this week, but yeah, if he's in, that'll open up things. And I don't know. It should be a closer game. I don't think it's going to be an extremely entertaining closer game, but there's still a lot of guys I want to watch.
Thank the Lord you are off of my Bengals because you picked them the first 3 weeks and they lost every single. Nope, they didn't tie. They lost every week that you picked them. So thank gosh you're off of them. I'm taking the Bengals in this one. They're 3-point favorites. I think Joe Burrow is just so far superior than Gardner Minshew. I think Mixon's better than Robinson, even though he hasn't shown it yet. I think that they're going to be able to this week because I don't like the Jags defense. And I think if there's a game where the offensive line can look somewhat decent, it's going to be against the Jags. So give me the Bengals in this one. They get their first win on the board, and the Jags will drop to 1-3. Moving on, Indianapolis at Chicago. Does Chicago get their first loss? That's so weird to say because Chicago's terrible, but they don't have a loss yet.
No, I can't pick against them. As much as I want to pick against them, I can't because they're finding ways to get it done. And when you're finding ways to get it done like that, when you're playing at your worst, if you're playing average or to your best, you're gonna clearly be better. So they're gonna find a way to get it done. It's not gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be an entertaining game. I'm hoping that Jonathan Taylor can at least do something for me since I got a pretty big stake of him. But yeah, I gotta go with the Bears in this.
I hate to say it, but I'm going to agree. I took the Bears over the Colts as well. I think the Colts have looked better. Mo Cox getting a lot of work. Little surprised
Beast.
that Jack Doyle isn't getting the work, and it's kind of hurting my fantasy team. However, he's not my starter. I got George Kittle, so hopefully Kittle's back. But yeah, Mo Cox getting more of the workload than Jack Doyle. A little surprising. But the Colts are starting to round out their game a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know. The Bears are going to take this one in my mind as well. Arizona Cardinals, Carolina Panthers. You got the second-year coach versus the first-year coach. Offensive mind versus defensive mind. Who you got?
I gotta go Cardinals. They're gonna bounce back in a big way. Kyler's gonna bounce back in a big way. He'll go back to being what he was in the first 2 weeks, looking more dominant. They should have Christian Kirk back in this game, so it's gonna help things too. I'm sure Cliff Kingsbury's gonna sit down with Kyler as well. He had DeAndre Hopkins open on some plays, and he chose to look other options, which resulted in incompletions or interceptions. So they're gonna sit down. They're gonna figure out, hey, dude, you threw the ball to D Hops this many times in week one. The hundreds of times that it felt like, and it worked. Let's keep the working formula going. So they're gonna round out their offense. They're gonna figure it out, put it back together, and beat the Panthers.
Yep, I agree there. Arizona taking this one because I just feel like Kyler is not going to have two bad games in a row. So we'll see how that works. LA Rams, New York Giants. I think this is another pretty obvious one, like the Seattle Miami game.
Yeah, it's the Rams. It sucks. I wanted to root for the Giants this year, but I can still root for them. Still hope they do good because I still have some of their options in fantasy. But they're out for the year. They're done chained.
Yep, I agree with you there. LA Rams for me as well. Chase, Buffalo, Las Vegas. Buffalo has looked very good, except for that fourth quarter. Vegas, they have looked really good as well. However, they're only 2-1. Thoughts on this game?
I think this game could be sneaky entertaining. If the Raiders can get anything done offensively, that's going to make it really entertaining because I think the Bills' offense is going to have a great day. I'm going to go with the Bills in this one. It'll be a semi-closer game compared to some of the other ones. Not as close as some of the other ones, though, as well. But this is a game that I do look forward to watching. There's only 3 games in this 425 time slot. And while the other game that we haven't mentioned yet might be the more interesting game on paper, I feel like I might be more interested in this one.
Yeah, I took the Bills as well. However, I'm going to be rooting for the Raiders. I like the Raiders a lot. They've shown a lot of promise. And, of course, I got Josh Jacobs in fantasy, too. So, going to be supporting him. But I got to go the Bills overall. That game you were just alluding to, Chase, Kansas City versus New England. This is in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes versus Cam Newton. It's going to be a good matchup.
It is. And I'm actually going to go with the Patriots in this one. So Cam, he struggled a little more in this last week than the first 2 weeks. I think he's going to bounce back. He's going to look better again. He's going to be someone that I think the Chiefs are going to kind of struggle stopping. He's going to run the ball. He's going to do this kind of like, not necessarily trick plays, but kind of guess plays where you don't know if he's going to run or throw. He's going to succeed. It's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be probably the most entertaining game of the week, in my opinion, even though I think the Bills Raiders could also do a similar type of thing. But yeah, I'm going to go with Patriots.
That's very interesting. I was, kind of teetering on this one. However, I had to give it to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They look too good tonight for me to pick against them. So going the Chiefs over the Patriots. And honestly, we're going to talk about the Monday night and the Sunday night game here next. But I kind of wish Buffalo Las Vegas was flexed to the Sunday night and the Monday night game was between the Patriots and the Chiefs because I think these are going to be both very one-sided games. Let's talk about the Sunday night game first. San Francisco versus Philadelphia. San Francisco has a lot of injuries, but Philadelphia has been absolute shit.
Dude, Carson Wentz looks so bad. I don't understand what's going wrong. He looks horrible. I can't imagine that changing anytime soon because he hasn't really showed you much to warrant that change. So you got to go with the Niners in this one. I don't know how I could rationally pick the Eagles.
Yep, 100% agree with that. And then finally, Green Bay versus Atlanta. If anyone picks Atlanta, I swear to God, you are going to get bit in the ass once again. Don't even try to pick them, honestly. Even if you're an Atlanta fan, pick Green Bay. It should, when they do the Monday night picks and they show the fans pick, it should be 100% Green Bay, at least in my mind.
I mean, it's not going to be. It's never how that works. But yeah, it definitely should be. I'm rooting so badly for the Falcons to win this game. I hope I'm wrong. I got to go with the Packers, but I'm rooting so badly for the Falcons. Fudge the Packers because, they're in the Lions division. I want them to be shit. I want everyone in the Lions division to be shit except for the Lions. And Falcons, I got a lot of their guys in fantasy, so I need this offense to get back to rolling since they just really didn't do it last game.
Yeah, I don't know. I will never pick for them again, even when they're versus the Panthers. I don't know if they verse the Giants or the football team or the Jags, but I'm going to pick those teams
Bengals.
as well. They don't play the Bengals, I know that, and the Bengals are too good for them. So, gosh, I hope the Falcons go 0-16 after what they did to my predictions over the last 2 weeks. Fuck them.
That would be something. If they go 0-16, Trevor Lawrence comes in. I would assume they would probably keep Matt Ryan as the QB and then give Trevor Lawrence a year to develop, which would kind of suck. So I want Trevor Lawrence to start day one. But if they just pass on the reign from one good QB to a great QB, oh boy.
Hey, what did I say 2 weeks ago in our group chat? I said, you know who I think would be the perfect scheme fit for Trevor Lawrence? The Atlanta Falcons, but they won't have the first overall pick. You know what? Give it to him now. Give it to him.
God, that would be icky. It'd be cool, but it'd be icky.
Absolutely. All right, Chase, I think we had 3 or 4 differences in that week's prediction. Hopefully, one of us can either build our lead or, I can take back not take back the lead, but I can take the lead for the first time and,
I'll build my lead, that's fine.
Just run away with it. That would be cool. But that's it for the episode. We want to thank you guys for coming out and giving us a listen. If you want to follow us on Twitter at WNP Sports Pod, you can do that. You'll stay up to date with all that we do. That's again at WNP Sports Pod on Twitter. You can also follow us in our other socials, Instagram, Facebook. I will link those in the description of both the YouTube video and the other podcast listening platforms. If you guys are on YouTube, please give us a like, a subscribe, a comment, and make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. If you guys are listening elsewhere, whether that be Apple Music, Spotify, or really any other podcast platforms you're listening to us on, please rate us 5 stars. We would really appreciate that. I think that's going to do it. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Make sure to go check out Bolt's broadcast as well. Our Tampa Bay Lightning just won the cup, so it's pretty cool. So thanks so much for listening, guys. And as always, we're not professionals.